The wind screamed across the frozen plains of planet Orvos. Snow fell thick from the dark sky, covering everything in white silence. Ayla moved slowly through the blizzard, his boots crunching deep into the ice. He had only gone out to check the energy lines near his outpost. But something strange pulled him forward. A sound, barely a whisper, had reached his ears through the static of his helmet come. A voice, broken and weak, had said one word, "Please." At first, Eli thought it was his mind playing tricks on him. Living alone for 6 months on a research station could do that to people. But the voice came again, faint and desperate, carried by the wind. He turned towards the sound, holding his scanner high. The signal was faint, but real, organic. Life nearby, too small to be an animal, too warm to be ice. Eli followed the signal past the broken rocks and frozen hills. Visibility was poor, but he trusted his gut. Then, just beyond a slope of snow, he saw a flash of movement. He rushed forward, heart pounding. And there they were, 2 figures almost buried under the snow, curled up and shivering. They weren't human. Their skin had a light glow, pale blue with soft patterns that pulsed gently. Long hair frozen into strands of ice, thin clothing torn and soaked. One of them raised her head slowly, eyes wide with fear and pain. She reached a trembling hand towards him and whispered again, "Please." Eli dropped to his knees and started clearing the snow. He wrapped them in thermal blankets, activated the emergency heat packs. He didn't understand what they were or where they came from, but he knew one thing: they would die if he left them there. He activated his signal beacon and called back to his cabin. 2 life forms, alien, both in critical condition. "I'm bringing them in." With great effort, Ele lifted them one by one into his snow hauler. The ride back was rough, the storm growing stronger. Inside the heated cabin, he placed them near the fire unit. He removed their frozen boots and checked for injuries. Their skin was cold as ice, but slowly their breathing steadied. Hours passed, and one of them opened her eyes. She stared at Eli, confused and weak. He handed her water, and she took it with shaking hands. Where are we?" she asked in broken English. "You're safe now," Eli said. "This is my cabin. I found you outside." The second sister woke next. Looking around in fear, she reached for her sibling, and they spoke quickly in their own language. Eli couldn't understand the words, but he saw the emotion: relief, fear, hope. "I'm Eli," he said slowly, pointing to himself. "Who are you?" The one who had spoken earlier looked at him. "I am Sira," she said, then pointed to the other. "She is Naira." Then she added something strange. "Chose us," Eli frowned. "What?" "You saved us," she said. "That means you are the one." Before Eli could ask what she meant, a net alarm beeped on his panel. He turned and checked the radar screen. A ship had entered orbit, not one of theirs, unregistered, silent, and heading towards his region. His heart sank. He turned back to the sisters, who now sat up slowly. Their eyes were wide, not with confusion, but fear. "They found us," Nira said softly. "They are coming." Ellie stood still for a moment, the storm howling outside his window. He had only wanted peace, quiet, a break from Earth and its noise. But now, 2 alien girls were in his home, calling him the one. And something dangerous was already on its way. As he watched the snow drift past the window, he saw the strange glowing marks on their skin begin to brighten. Not just warm, but alive, almost like a message. He didn't know what kind of trouble he had just stepped into, but deep down, he knew one thing: his quiet life was over. The fire crackled gently in Eli's cabin, but the air felt colder than before. Not because of the snowstorm outside, but because of the silence inside. Ailey sat across from the 2 alien sisters, watching them closely. They sat huddled in his emergency blankets, their glowing skin slightly dimmer now, but their eyes, especially Sira's, were sharp and full of something he couldn't explain: fear, intelligence, maybe something more. Sira was the first to speak again, her voice slow, careful. You don't understand what you have done, she said. Eli leaned forward. I pulled two strangers from the snow. That's all. Nira shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. No one touches a starburn unless they are chosen. Eli blinked. Starburn? Sierra looked at her sister, then back at him. In our world, children born with light in their veins are rare, powerful. Some say we are a gift from the stars. Others say we are a curse. Eli raised an eyebrow, unsure whether this was myth or truth. You're saying you're different from your people? Sierra nodded slowly. We were hunted not because of what we did, but because of what we are. There are powerful men warlords who sell girls like us, harvest our light, and drain it for power, Nira added. We escaped, but they followed. Her voice cracked, and she looked away, her hands trembling. Eli stood and began pacing. Trying to understand. You came from a ship? You crashed nearby? Sierra shook her head. We jumped from a slave vessel into the snow. It was suicide or slavery. Eli stared at them, his mind racing. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. This was a war he had walked into without knowing, and now the enemy was coming. Sierra looked up, her voice calmer now. We didn't know where we would land, but the prophecy said we would be saved. By one not of our kind, but of our prophecy. Eli asked, confused. Nira reached into her cloak and pulled out a small silver shard. It glowed faintly, humming in the air like it was alive. She placed it on the table between them. The shard projected a soft hologram, two glowing figures. Kneeling before a third. One man, two stars, Sierra said quietly. The bond will be made when the ice takes us, and the fire brings us back. Eli stared at the image, unsure whether to laugh or panic. I'm not anyone special, he said. I'm just a researcher. I fix weather stations. Sierra leaned forward. Her eyes locked onto his. But you found us, she said. You brought us home, Nira added. And you did not run, not even now. The weight of their words sat heavy in Eli's chest. He didn't believe in destiny or ancient alien prophecies. But he had to admit, he felt something strange when he saw them in the snow. Something that made him act without thinking. The moment was broken by a sudden beep from the cabin console. Eli rushed over and checked the radar. A small drone had entered the atmosphere. Silent, black, tracking heat signatures. They're scanning, he said. They're close. Nira stood, weak but determined. They will not stop, she said. We have one chance to cloak the cabin. Sierra nodded, already pulling a strange device from her pack. It looked like a crystal fused into a machine, pulsing with weak energy. This is a pulse veil, she explained. It can hide US from scanners, but it needs energy, human energy. Eli frowned. What kind of energy? Sierra touched his chest gently. Your heartbeat, your body heat, it's enough, if you accept the bond. Bond? He asked, stepping back slightly. We share our light with you, Nira said. And you share your strength with us. It is not forever, Sierra added. Only if you choose. Eli looked at them both, two alien girls. Wounded, hunted, and still glowing with strange light. Everything about this screamed danger, mystery, and madness. But when he looked into their eyes, he saw something else to trust. He took a breath, then gave a single nod. Do it, he said. Whatever it takes to keep you safe. Sierra placed the device against his chest. A warm glow spread through him, like a soft electric pulse. The machine lit up, brighter and brighter, until the walls of the cabin shimmered and vanished. To the outside world, it would look like snow, rocks, and nothing more. The sisters collapsed gently onto the floor, weak but smiling. You did it, Nira whispered. You chose us. Outside, the drone passed by, blind to the warmth hidden. Beneath the snow, inside, the fire burned steady, and Eli sat beside the sisters, unsure of what he had just become. But one thing was certain, there was no going back now. The sky above planet Orvos turned darker than night. Clouds moved like black waves, and a strange hum filled the air. Eli stood at the edge of his cabin window, eyes fixed on the radar. A new signal had just appeared, silent, cold, and moving fast. He didn't need Sira or Nira to confirm it. He already knew. The hunters had arrived. "They're here," Eli said quietly. Sira rose to her feet, her glowing skin a little dimmer than before. She looked at the scanner, then at Eli. "This ship is not just a scout," she said. "It's a tracker, a catcher." Nira tightened her grip on the table's edge. "That means the warlord is close. Or worse, his shadows." Eli turned to them, confused. "Shadows?" he asked. "You mean soldiers?" Sira shook her head slowly. "No, worse than soldiers," she whispered. "His shadows are hybrids, half machine, half nightmare. They smell heat, feel sound, and do not stop." The wind outside shifted. It no longer howled, it growled. A deep mechanical sound rumbled through the air, low and steady. Eli rushed to shut down all energy outputs. Switching to silent backup systems, lights dimmed. Cabin fell into a soft red glow. The cloaking device hummed quietly in his chest. Still connected from the bond, he checked the monitor again. A large ship had landed 3 kilometers away. Too close, too quiet. Eli tapped the screen. Zooming in on the signal, 3 smaller dots separated from the ship and began moving across the snow straight toward them. "We can't fight them," Eli said. "Not here." "Not in the open." Nira stood up, her voice calm but firm. "Then we don't let them find us." Sira reached into her satchel and pulled out a small crystal blade. It shimmered with a soft blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. "This can cut a way out, but only through ice, only once." Eli blinked. "You mean like a tunnel?" Nira nodded. "There are caves below us, ancient and hidden. If we reach them, we might survive." Outside, something moved past the snow line, tall, armored, walking on mechanical limbs that didn't leave deep footprints. A hunter. It stopped briefly, scanning the area, then kept walking, slowly, carefully. Inside the cabin, Sira stabbed the blade into the floor. The ice sizzled, hissed, and cracked as a narrow tunnel melted downwards. Steam filled the air, and the ground opened like a mouth. "Go," she said. "Now." Eli grabbed a bag of tools, a flare gun, and helped Nira down the hole. Then he followed, with Sira right behind him. Sealing the entrance with a second device, they landed in a frozen cave, the ceiling glowing faintly with trapped alien minerals. It was quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed from above. The cabin's surface door had been breached. The shadows were inside. Sira touched the ice wall and whispered something in her language. A glow spread through the wall like a signal, leading them deeper. Eli ran ahead with them, breath heavy, heart racing. He had faced storms, wild beasts, and mechanical failures. But nothing like this behind them. The sound of metal claws scraping against ice grew louder. The shadows had found the tunnel. They were coming. Nira turned suddenly and raised her hands. A soft blue light gathered in her palms. "Keep going," she told them. "I'll slow them down." "No," Sira said sharply. "We do not split again." Eli grabbed a flare from his bag, snapped it, and threw it back down the tunnel. A burst of red light filled the space, confusing the hunters for a moment. Sira placed her hands on the wall again. Whispering louder now, the ice responded, shifting and closing the tunnel behind them. A temporary wall, not strong, but enough to buy them minutes, maybe seconds. They ran deeper, into a wider chamber that opened like a frozen cathedral. In the center stood a broken alien machine, humming softly in the dark. Sira stopped, her eyes wide. "I know this place," she said. "This is from the old stories. What is it?" Ele asked, panting. "A gate," Nira said, touching the broken metal. "A forgotten way out." "But it needs power," Sira added. "And a key." Eli looked at the device, then at them. "You're the key, aren't you?" Sira nodded slowly. "But only if the bond is complete." Ele swallowed hard. Outside, the ice wall shattered, and a screech echoed through the tunnel. The shadows were almost there. He stepped forward. "Then let's finish the bond." The Gate stood silent beneath the ice, old, cracked, and half-frozen. It looked like a monument from another time. Eli stared at it, breath short from running, chest still glowing faintly from the cloak device. The alien sisters stood on either side of him, their glowing skin now pulsing brighter than before. Sira stepped closer to the gate, hands outstretched. "This was built before our kind walked among the stars," she whispered. "It was left for the day the hunted would need to vanish." Nera touched a ring on the side of the arch, and lines of blue light spread across the surface. Symbols came alive, floating in the air, rotating like they were waking from a long sleep. "But it needs more than light," she said quietly. "It needs will." Behind them, the sound of metal scraping ice returned, closer now, louder. The shadows were entering the lower chamber. Eli looked back toward the tunnel, his hand tightening on the flare gun. He didn't know if it would stop one of those creatures, but he had to try. "No time," he said, turning back to the sisters. "What do we do?" Sira turned to face him, her expression softer than before. "You already started the bond," she said, "but to unlock the gate, you must accept us completely." Eli raised an eyebrow, unsure what that meant. "I don't understand," he said. "Is this about power?" "No," Nera said, stepping closer. "It's about choice. You must choose to stand with us, not just now, but after." The chamber shook as a shriek echoed through the tunnel. One of the shadows had found their path, the ice behind them cracked, and steam hissed from the walls. Eli didn't hesitate. He reached out and took both their hands. "I'm in," he said. "Whatever this is, I'm not letting you face it alone." As soon as their hands touched, the gate responded. A column of light shot upward from the center of the arch. The symbols spun faster, and a wave of warm air pushed outward like a heartbeat. The ice melted around their feet, and the ancient stone beneath revealed itself. Sira and Nera closed their eyes, their bodies glowing with soft golden blue light. They spoke together, in a forgotten tongue, their voices echoing across the walls. The gate answered, opening a swirling tunnel of light beyond the arch, unstable, flickering but real. Then the tunnel exploded open, and one of the shadows appeared, tall, twisted, covered in black armor and glowing wires. Its face was covered by a mask, but its eyes were alive, red and burning. Eli pulled the flare gun and fired. The flare hit the shadow in the chest and burst into sparks. It screamed a horrible high-pitched sound and stumbled, but only for a second. "Go!" Eli shouted, turning to the gate. Nera stepped through first, her body vanishing into the light. Sira turned to Eli. "You must step in together, or the bond breaks." The shadow leapt forward, arms wide like blades. Eli grabbed Sarah's hand, and they ran into the gate. A blast of energy followed them, and then silence, cold, spinning silence. Colors and shapes folded around Eli's mind like a dream. He saw flashes of planets, stars, and old memories that didn't belong to him. He felt Sarah's heartbeat beside his, steady and calm. Then he was falling fast, until the light faded and his boots hit solid ground again. They had landed inside a new chamber, darker, older, deeper underground. The gate behind them flickered and died, its power gone. But they were alive and safe for now. Sira collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. Eli rushed to help her, and she smiled weakly. "You made the choice," she said. "You are truly bonded now." Nera walked over, looking around the cavern. "This place, it's not just a hiding spot," she said. "It's a sanctuary." Eli stood slowly, the glow in his chest fading. "What now?" he asked. "They'll come after us again." "They will," Nera said. "But next time we won't run." Sira looked up at the ancient wall beside them. Symbols were etched deep into the stone. Pulsing faintly, she touched one, and a soft hum echoed through the room. "This place holds knowledge," she said. "Secrets of our kind and yours." Eli turned toward her, surprised. "Mine?" he asked. Sira nodded. "You think you're just a man from Earth," she said. "But there's more in you than you know." As they rested inside the hidden cavern, the shadows searched above, but they were already too late. Far below the ice, a new chapter had begun, one of light, of mystery, and of war. The cavern was silent, but it breathed like something alive. Every surface pulsed with a soft light, like veins running beneath ancient skin. Eli stepped carefully, boots crunching against crystal dust. The echoes of his movement faded into the darkness beyond the chamber. Beside him, Sira and Nira moved like they had returned home. Their glowing skins shimmered brighter here, as if the place remembered them. "What is this place?" Eli whispered. Looking around, Nira ran her hand along the wall, touching the alien symbols carved deep into the stone. "This is not just a sanctuary," she said. "It's a memory chamber." Sira stepped into the center of the room, where a circular platform rose slightly from the floor. She placed her hand on it, and a wave of light rippled out across the walls. Holograms flickered to life stars, planets, battlefields, forgotten gods, and in the middle of it all, a glowing figure with golden skin and human eyes. Eli stared, stunned. "That looks like me," he said slowly. Sira nodded, her voice low. "Long ago, one of your kind came here through the stars. He was not a soldier, not a king, just a man who heard our call," Nira added. "He bonded with one of us. From their union came something new, blood that carried both light and fire." Eli took a step back, struggling to understand. "You're saying I'm related to someone from your history?" "Not just related," Sira said gently. "You carry his spark. Only someone with that spark could activate the gate." The holograms changed again, showing a war long ago, armies in black armor, cities falling under flame. One symbol remained untouched, a glowing tree with roots of light. "That's the symbol of the first bond," Nira said, pointing. "A promise between your kind and ours, buried by time, feared by those in power." Eli shook his head, trying to process it. "I'm no warrior," he said. "I don't know your language, your history. I was just trying to help." Sira stepped close, placing her hand over his chest. "But the bond chose you," she said, "not because you are a warrior, but because you listened." He looked at her, then at Nira, who smiled for the first time in hours. The firelight from the cavern's crystal walls danced in her eyes. "Most humans fear what they don't know," she said. "You opened your door to it." Eli sat down slowly on a nearby stone, breathing deeply. Somewhere above, hunters were likely searching. The warlord's ship still hovered in orbit, silent and cold. But here, buried beneath layers of time and ice, he had found something more. Not just answers, something bigger, older, and strangely personal. Then the light in the chamber flickered. The ground trembled, and the holograms vanished. A deep tone echoed through the walls, low and heavy. "What was that?" Eli asked, standing again. Nira's eyes widened. "They activated a pulse. They're scanning underground." Sira turned to the far wall. "There's another way out," she said, "but it leads to the surface and their zone." Eli checked the tools in his bag. "If we go up, they'll see us," he said. "If we stay, they'll find us." Sira nodded, then walked toward an old console near the wall. She placed the crystal blade into a slot, and the door beside them slid open with a hiss. Air from the old tunnels rushed through, cold but breathable. "We go up," she said. "But not to run this time. We send a message." Eli raised an eyebrow. "What message?" "That the bond has returned," Nira said. "And with it, the fire they tried to bury." Eli felt something shift inside him. Not fear, something else. Something rising, something waking. He didn't fully understand what he was now, but he knew one thing. He wasn't just a man hiding from the storm anymore. As they stepped into the tunnel, lights along the walls began to glow. Sensors still remembered the blood of the old starburn. Doors opened, paths lit up. Like the world itself was waiting. Above them, the hunters paused, their scanners blinking red. Something had changed. The prey they hunted had awakened something ancient, and now the warlord would feel it too. The storm had stopped. The sky above planet Orvos was unnaturally calm, but Eli felt it in the air like the quiet before an avalanche. Something was coming, and it wasn't coming slowly. He stood at the edge of the ice valley, his breath fogging in the cold air. Behind him, Sarah and Nira stood ready, cloaks drawn tight, blades hidden beneath. Above them, the hunter's ship hovered low, its engines humming like a deep, growling beast. "This is where they'll land," Sarah said, her voice firm. "They want to end this where it began." Eli checked his makeshift weapons, old tech, scavenged tools, and one pulse bomb he barely understood. "I'm not sure I can fight shadows," he admitted. "You don't have to," Nira said, touching his shoulder. "You only have to stand between them and us." From the clouds, a beam of light struck the frozen ground. A black shuttle descended slowly, steam rising from its metal belly. Then the ramp opened. The warlord stepped out. He was massive, half alien, half machine. His armor moved with him like liquid shadow, and long cables hissed as he walked. His face was hidden behind a cold, silver mask. But his voice cut through the wind like fire. "You should have let them die in the snow." "Human," he growled. "You don't understand what they are." Eli stepped forward, planting his boots into the ice. "I don't need to understand you to know what you are," he said. "A coward who hunts the weak." The warlord chuckled, low and dark. "They are not weak," he said. "They are weapons, born to fuel empires, and too dangerous to be free." Sarah stepped beside Eli, her voice like frost. "We are not yours." The shadows emerged behind the warlord, 7 in total, tall and armored, faces hidden, blades in hand. They spread out in a half circle, surrounding them. There was nowhere left to run. Eli tapped his chest, feeling the bond pulsing under his skin. He felt heat rise not from fear, but from something deeper. A light that didn't belong to just him, something ancient, awakened. "Now," Sarah whispered. She and Nira stepped forward and raised their hands. Their bodies glowed, brighter than ever before. The light surged between them and Eli, forming a ring of energy. The shadows hesitated. Just for a moment, then they charged. Eli threw the pulse bomb, and it exploded. Midair, a burst of light and pressure sent 2 shadows flying back. Nira moved like lightning, blades drawn, cutting down another. Sarah's hands pulsed with energy, striking the shadow directly in the chest. It screamed and dropped. Armor cracked open. The warlord didn't flinch. He stepped through the chaos straight toward Eli. "You bonded with them," he said, voice sharp. "You've doomed yourself." Eli raised a plasma cutter, ready to strike. "If that's true," he said, "then I'll go down with them." The warlord swung a blade. Eli blocked it. Barely, the force knocked him down, but he rolled away. Sarah leapt in, striking the warlord's side. The armor sparked, but he grabbed her and threw her against the ice. Nira screamed and ran at him, her blade flashing. He caught her wrist mid-strike and slammed her to the ground. Eli stood again, blood on his lip, heart pounding. "You want power," he shouted. "Then take it." He touched the bond mark on his chest. A wave of light burst outward, blinding and hot. The warlord stumbled, roaring in rage. The energy cracked his mask, revealing a twisted face beneath. Part metal, part burned flesh. Eli ran forward, grabbing a fallen spear from a shadow's corpse. With everything he had, he drove it into the warlord's chest. The weapon pulsed, absorbing the bond's light. Then it exploded. The warlord fell backward, his body burning with blue fire. He screamed as the light consumed him, his armor collapsing in on itself, and then silence. Sarah crawled to her knees. Breathing hard, Nira helped her up, both glowing softly but drained. Eli stood over the remains of the warlord. The snow around them melted to water. It was over. For now, the sky above was still, but in the distance, other signals lit up the radar. Not hunter ships, scanning, watching, waiting. "They know," Sarah whispered. "They all felt it," Nira nodded. "The bond has returned," she said, "and it cannot be hidden anymore." Eli turned toward them, his body weak, but his heart steady. "So what now?" he asked. Sira smiled, tired but alive. "Now they will come for us," she said. "But we won't be running anymore." The battlefield was quiet. Snow fell again, soft and slow, covering the burn marks and broken machines. The warlord's armor, now a melted shell, lay half buried in slush. Smoke rose from the ground in thin ribbons, curling upward like spirits. Released, Eli stood still, staring at the place where it had ended. His body ached, clothes torn, hands bruised, but inside him, something else had taken root, something strong. The bond was no longer just a glow in his chest. It was part of him now, like memory, like breath. He turned to look at Sira and Nira. Both leaning on each other, both alive, they had won. But this wasn't victory, it was a beginning. From the top of the ridge, the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds. Golden light spilled across the ice, warming the frozen planet. Like a promise, Eli had almost forgotten what sunlight looked like. Sira stepped beside him, her voice quiet. "Do you feel it?" Eli nodded. "The storm is over," he said. For now, Nira joined them, holding a small orb in her hand. It glowed softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. "This is a beacon," she said. "One the Empire will hear." "They'll come, won't they?" Eli asked. Sira nodded. "They'll want answers, control, revenge. But also," Nira said, "there are others like us, hiding, waiting." Eli stared at the snow-covered valley, once empty, now changed forever. "I never meant to be part of this," he said. "I just wanted to survive." "And you did more," Sira replied. "You gave us a chance to live." They stood in silence for a long moment, breathing in the cold, watching the sun rise. Then, in the distance, a low hum echoed from the sky. 3 small ships appeared on the horizon. Scouts, not warships, neutral markings, blue lights blinking. "They're not his," Nira said. "They're watching." Eli narrowed his eyes. "Let them," he said. "Let the whole galaxy know we're still here." The sisters looked at each other, then back at him. Their smiles were tired, but true. And then Sira said it again, with no hesitation this time. "Husband," Eli blinked. Startled, that word. "Are you sure you mean it that way?" Nira laughed softly. "In our culture, a bond like this is deeper than marriage." "You didn't just save us, Eli," she said. "You became part of us." He looked at them both. The strange feeling inside him was no longer confusion. It was connection. It was purpose. They were not just 2 alien fugitives anymore. And he was not just a human with a cabin in the snow. They were something new, a family, a spark, a beginning. Sira reached into her cloak and handed him a small glowing stone. "This is yours now," she said. "The key to the next gate." "Next?" he asked. Nira looked up at the sky, the ships drawing nearer. "There are others to find," she said. "Secrets to uncover. Not just about us." Sira added, "But about you." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Me?" Nira smiled. "The fire in your blood didn't come from nowhere." They turned together, walking back toward the frozen ridge. Each step forward felt lighter, more certain. Below them, the ancient tunnel still pulsed with life, waiting for others to follow. As the sun rose higher, a breeze swept across the valley. Not cold this time, just clean. Eli looked back one last time. The cabin was gone, destroyed. But he didn't feel like he had lost anything. He had already found what mattered, and what lay ahead was wide open. As they walked toward the glowing horizon, a figure watches from a distant cliff, armored, silent, holding a cracked mask in one hand. The war isn't over. It's just changing shape.